Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn how to make a simple and easy crochet pumpkin. And if you're a beginner, don't be intimidated by this. I'm going to explain every single step as we go along, and let's jump into the video and learn how to make this beautiful piece. So for this project you will need stuffing. This is a must because your pumpkin has to gain body. And then you also need a measuring tape. I'll be taking some measurements while working so that you can follow along easily. And then you also need a 6mm crochet hook, which is a J hook. And then you also need yarn. For the yarn I'll be using Seal. It's a 3-ply chunky yarn. And then you also need a darning needle and a pair of scissors to cut and weave in your ends. So let's get started. Alright, I'll be using color orange, and you're going to start off with a slip knot. And to make a slip knot, you will have your yarn like this. There are so many ways to make a slip knot, but this is my go-to method. So you're going to roll it over like a ribbon shape, and then insert your hook and hold where the two yarns cross. Hold there, and then yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through. And then at that point you can let go of the yarn and then just fasten off the slip knot. So you can rewind this video and keep practicing that if you're a beginner. So we're going to make a chain of 20. So to make a chain, you're going to yarn over, pull through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. You can go ahead and make a longer chain if you want a bigger and longer pumpkin. So this is going to determine the height of the pumpkin, something like this, because it has to settle down. So if you want something that's a little bit higher, then you're going to have to make a longer chain. But mine is quite small, as you saw at the beginning of the video. So after your 20 chains, we are now going to row 1, and for row 1 we are going to go into the second chain from the hook. So the chain on the hook doesn't count as a chain. You have to skip this first chain here and go into the second chain from the hook, and you're going to make a half double crochet. And to make a half double crochet, you're going to yarn over like this, and then go into the second chain from the hook, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook and yarn over, pull through all. So that's a half double crochet in the US terms. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through all. So that's a half double crochet. You're going to continue doing this all the way across until the end of the chain. Alright, so we're almost coming to the end of our row, and we are placing 1 half double crochet and then 1 half double crochet into the very last chain. So at the end of row 1 you should have a total of 19 half double crochets, because the 20th was the turning chain at the beginning of our row. So 19 half double crochets, that marks the end of row 1. Now we're going to row 2. For row 2 you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and we are now going to start working into the back loops of the stitches. So when you turn your work onto the top, you can see the V's on top. So this is the front loop and this is the back loop. So when you chain one and turn, you're going to go into the very first stitch but into the back loop with a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into the back loop of the stitch. Hope you're seeing what I'm doing. And then you pull up a loop and yarn over, pull through all. So you're going to continue doing that, placing one half double crochet into the back loop of every stitch all the way across until the end of the row. And you should have the same number of stitches for row 2 as you had for row 1. So let's cross check. I told you I had a total of 19 for the first row, and so far for row 2 I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. You can see the 19th is the very last stitch. So make sure you cross check your work. We don't want to have any increases or decreases on our pumpkin. So working in the back loop is going to create these ridges, as you can see here. And row 3 is basically going to be the same as row 2. So you're going to chain one, turn your work, and start working into the back loops of the stitches of row 2. So just go into each and every stitch of row 2, placing one half double crochet back loop only into each and every stitch, and you should end with the same number of stitches as you had for row 2 and row 1. So it doesn't matter what starting chain that you started with, just make sure you note down the stitch count for the very first row, and make sure you maintain the number of stitches for each and every row until you get the size of the pumpkin that you want. Okay, so we're going to repeat this row until I wanted to give you some measurements. So at the beginning of the row of the pumpkin, I did a chain that was about 6 inches, as you can see, 6 inches. So you're going to keep working until the length of this is times 3 the starting chain, the starting stitches. So 6 times 3 is 18. We're going to keep building until we have a total of 18 inches. So for example, if you had a total of 9 inches for your starting chain, you should make sure you work your panel until you have 9 times 3, which is 27 inches for your piece. So I'm going to continue working until I have a total of 18 inches, because 6 times 3 is 18. So just make the calculations and make sure you have the length that's times 3, the beginning chain. So I'm here coming to the end of my very last row, and I did a total of 32 rows, and this is what I have. And if we are to cross check with the measuring tape, this is what I have. Remember, this was 6 inches, and now if I place my measuring tape like this, I have a total of 18 inches across, right from 0 to 18. So the moment you're done with that, you are going to chain 1, and then you're going to leave a long strand for attaching. So after a chain of 1, you're just going to pull through and fasten off like that. And now we're going to use this chain to join the 2 panels together. So just fold over your work like this, and you're going to introduce your darning needle. Then you're going to thread the darning needle with the strand that you left behind. And now we're going to start joining stitch to stitch. So start with the very first stitch and go into the back loop of, sorry, the front loop, because now this is the back loop if we are to look at it in this angle. So just go into the front loop here and start joining stitch to stitch. Make sure you match the stitches perfectly well, and make sure when you're using this darning needle, you don't make it so tight, so that we maintain the tension that we had for the actual garment. So we're coming to the very last stitch, and I'm attaching it into the very last stitch on the opposite side. And after that, we have this tail that we started with. I don't know if we'll need it later on. I'm not going to cut anything yet. So after this, you are going to close up the bottom. You will have something that looks like this. It's more like a tube. So after this, you're going to go in and out of every row using the same exact yarn. So I think at this point, I'm going to first make a knot with the very beginning chain that we left behind after making the slip knot. I'm going to just make a knot so that when I pull on this string, it doesn't affect the shaping here. So once you have this, you are going to go in and out of every stitch, every row, sorry. Just make sure you go in and out of every row. Like that, and then pull through. So the moment you make it around, you're going to make sure you pull tightly. Make sure you pull tight without breaking the yarn, definitely. But you're going to try your best to pull this and close it up. And the moment you're done with that, you are going to get the strand that you left behind while making your slip knot. And you're going to make a knot at this point. A double knot so that it doesn't undo itself. I'll do 3 knots just to be secure enough. So this is what you'll have. You'll have something that looks like a heart, and this is the very bottom of our pumpkin. So at this point you're going to get your stuffing. This is mine. You're going to fill it up. I don't know how soft you want it or how hard you want it, but this is what you're going to do. You're going to fill it up like that. And then at this point, I'm going to cut the yarn that's attached to the darning needle. I'll cut that yarn and get it, and we're going to start attaching the top part of the pumpkin. So you're going to go in and out of every row at the top, just like we did at the bottom. Make sure you don't pull this out. Make sure it doesn't get to this level, because we need it to make a knot at the end of the whole process of joining. Okay. All right, so we've made it all the way around, as you can see, and we're going to get these tails and pull on our pumpkin. You can see how everything is just doing a very good shaping. Just pull tight, pull as tight as you can, like that. And now we're going to make a knot, but make sure this knot is very tight so that it closes up this hole that we have in the middle. So the very first knot is the one that will determine that, and then you make another knot and another, just to be secure. I always like to do 3 knots just to be on a safe side. And you can see the stuffing that I put was just enough for the pumpkin to get enough body, and you can press on it to get a better shaping. And then after this, I want to do something here. I want to bring in the pumpkin like this, so that it's not so like flat at the top before I place the stem. So I'll go down into the middle, use the same darning needle, and go down into the bottom, something like that. And then we left a tail here. That's why I was telling you we are not cutting these tails, because we may need them while working. And this is the knot, the tail that's going to help us hold this part together and pull it in like this. So when you're tying this knot, you're going to make sure you determine that you pull down so that you get that depression at the top, and then you make a knot at the bottom. So if that's what you want for your piece, make sure you tie it very tight, and then make 2 more knots. And at this point, we still have 1 tail at the top, but then we have 2 tails at the bottom, and I'm going to just leave them at that. And then we are going to place a stem onto our pumpkin. So I'm going to put this aside so that we can work on the stem right now. For the stem, I'm using Charity double knit pull skein yarn, and I'm using two strands of the yarn. And you can see this color is so beautiful. It's the one that I want for the stem of the pumpkin. So you're still going to get your 6mm crochet hook, and you're going to make a knot, a slip knot. Now you're going to make a chain of 6. I don't know how long you want your stem to be. Okay, let me make 7. After this, you're going to go into the second chain from the hook and make a single crochet and single crochet all the way down. And you should have a total of 6 single crochets, because we started with a chain of 7. After this, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, single crochet in the back loop only into each and every stitch. Like that. And then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and single crochet into each stitch but in the back loop. So you will have 6 stitches for each and every row. And after this, you're going to chain 1 and leave a very long strand. Okay, you're going to now pull through, because we are done with the stem body. Sorry. After this, you're going to thread your tail that you've left behind, and we're going to start joining our stem or stalk. So you're going to go into the back loop and then match it to a stitch on the opposite side, and then go into the back loop of the next stitch and match it onto the next stitch. And you're going to continue to do this. Okay, so we are joining the very last stitch, and this is what we have. And the moment you're done with that, you're going to get your darning needle and pass it through the exact middle of the stalk or the stem. Make sure it passes through the middle. It's more like a tube, so you're going to pass this thread through like this so that it can meet the tail on the opposite side. So you'll have 2 tails here. So you're going to place your stalk like this, or your stem, I don't know why I keep calling it stalk. So like this, and then you're going to determine where you want to attach that stem. So just get 1 point and attach it with the brown. Sorry. You're going to attach with the brown, okay, like that. And then at this point, you are going to go into several stitches. Just go around the pumpkin, attaching your stem onto the main body of the pumpkin. You can go in rounds so that it can attach completely and just not at one point. Something like this. And the moment you're done with that, you are going to make a knot with the tail that we left behind while making the slip knot. Just make a tail as a knot with the 2 strands. If you feel like it's not settled well, you can still go around the pumpkin and place it very well. Like, for example, mine is not well placed and I feel it, so I'll start attaching onto the edges of the stalk. Just to make sure it looks very firm. Okay, you can see this is more appealing to look at than what we had before. Okay, and the moment you're done with this, all right, so the moment you're done with this, you are going to go into the pumpkin, go down like this, and at this point you can cut your yarn because the tail is going to be hidden inside the pumpkin. You can even pull on it so that the brown can disappear at the bottom. And you're going to do the same for this tail. Just thread it into the darning needle and pierce into the back of the pumpkin like that. At this point you can cut it off. Okay, this is what we have. I wish I had put more stuffing into the pumpkin, but this is what we'll work with for now. Now I see there's an empty part around here which is not filled up so well, but that's okay because we're just doing a demonstration. So at this point we can get rid of this top tail. Okay, you're just going to go into several stitches and then to the opposite side of the pumpkin like that. And after this you're going to cut your yarn so that tail is gone. Now you're going to get one of the tails that's long. If you don't have one, then you're going to just thread your darning needle with one. I'll use one of these ones at the back. If you don't have a long tail to work with, you're going to attach one to the back of your work, and then we're going to create segments. So this is going to work for me because I had an empty space around here, and I'm going to use the same exact yarn in order to create those divisions, you know, those pumpkin divisions. So since I had a total of 32 rows, I'm going to divide that by 6 and I'll get a total of, sorry, I'm going to divide it by 8, I think, so that I get 4 divisions, or I can divide it by, so I'll divide my 32 by 4 so that I get a total of 8 divisions for my pumpkin. So the first thing is to create this very first division. Now you're going to go into one of the stitches here, and make sure you tie it, you pull on it, and you can see what that is creating. It's creating a division here. It will depend on how deep you want these dents to go. So since I divided by 4 and I got 8, that means I'm going to skip 4 rows. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to bring back this division. So make sure your yarn is at that point next to row 4, and you're going to bring back this yarn within that line after row 4, and you're going to attach into one of the stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, my yarn should be around here. So this is what you're going to have, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to bring the yarn and put it along that line. And you can see how everything is turning out very beautifully. Put it along that line and count. First attach your yarn, okay, like that, and then you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Your yarn should be around here. This is a bit tiring, but it's all worth it. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and put it along that line after the 4th row. Okay. So this is what we have. And then we count 1, 2, 3, 4. Our yarn should be around here. So the reason why I use the same exact yarn is so that we don't see those lines passing through. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put it along the next line and attach. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Attach. Okay. Then after this, I think now I'm going to use the other strand because this one is almost done. This one is almost getting done. So I'm going to just remove it like this and then go to the next strand to do the remaining parts. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That means the line has to be here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the very last one. And after this, you're going to attach to the back side, the bottom side of the pumpkin. And the moment you have all your divisions marked and very definite the way you want them to be, you're going to turn your work to the back and make a knot. So you can see we've used all the knots that we left behind, all the strands that we left behind for something useful. So after this, you can cut your yarn and then turn your pumpkin to the right side. So As you can see, we have a very beautiful pumpkin, and this is totally optional. If you don't want these divisions, leave them out, but I feel like this gives a very good look. Now we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 segments for our pumpkin. This is because we divided the number by 4 and we got 8. So whatever number you divide by, the result is the number of segments that you're going to have for your pumpkin. And I'm in love with this. I think I'll do some more little pumpkins to make a full collection, or you can do them in different sizes and you can make a good decoration for your room for Halloween or just any other normal day. I feel like this is a very good design. And yeah, this marks the end of the video. I wanted to take some measurements for you before I leave. So my pumpkin measures about 6 inches, around 5.5, and the height is about 2.5 inches, or yeah, 2.5 inches up to here, and then the full height is about 4 inches up to the top of the stem. And this is how you make a lovely little pumpkin. And if you would like more Halloween inspired crochet looks, tap on the video on the screen. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure I give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.